We about to get started. So, you live? All right, go on. Mataya, present thyself.
Mataya, ban banyamyan, banyashala.
Mataya, ban banyanyan, ban yashala.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Brakatham.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Brakatham.
If you could.
La Yashala.
Imagine, which means to stand. Rapayah Hakadam, which means turn and face the east. We'll say the Lord's Prayer. Abanau, Shabbat Shemayim, Kadash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakufka, Taba'ah, Ratazayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayim, the thunder now, Lakam, Cow, Yawam, Wasalak now, Kabwaf now, Kasalak now, Kabawaf now, Wala'ah, Taba'ah now, Brother say war, or bull, Havashai now, Maya, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'alam, Wa'atapar, Wa'alamim, Alma, our Father, John heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. We'll say Hakak, the power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Babakashah, the thunder now, Hakak, La Pa'ah, Kalmaka'ah, Kalmatawa, Hakak, La Tahah, Hamatazariah, Hakak, La Hakim, Hamathia, Hakak, Akawa, Matama'ala, God Shun, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Tawada Amud, Yahweh. You name Yahushua. Please give us the power. Power to heal. All manner of sickness. All manner of disease. Power to cleanse the leper. Power to raise the dead. Power to raise the dead. Power to get unclean spirits. Power to cleanse unclean spirits. Cast them out. Cast them out. You name Yahushua. Thank you. So be it. We'll say, bless Israel, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Barakah now, Wayashala, Wahabayah, Sapariah, Barak, Rapah, Magun, Hagun, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Tawada Amud. Yahweh, name Yahushua. Bless us, and Israel, and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones. Name Yahushua. Thank you. So be it. We're going to say Psalms 121. Asha'ah. Ayanya. Ahahai. Ma'ayan. Yaba'ah. Isaiah. Ma'ayin. Yahweh. Aisha. Shemai. Wa'arataza. Ayathan. Lamawat. Regalka. Ayanawam. Shemaka. Hana. La'ah. Yanawam. La'ah. Yayashun. Shawamah. Yasha'ala. Yahweh. Shemaka. Yahweh. Tazalka. Al-Yad. Yumyaka. Yawamam. Hashemash. La'ah. Yakaka. Wayarak. Walayallah. Yahweh. Yashemaka. Makara. Yashema. Afnapaska. Yahweh. Yashema. Tazalka. Wabu'aka. Ma'ita. Ma'it Abulam. Tawada Amah.
I'm lifting my eyes to the hill.
I'm lifting my eyes to the hill.
Whence cometh my help?
Whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh.
My help cometh from Yahweh.
Which made heaven and earth.
Which made heaven and earth.
You will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
You will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee.
He that keepeth thee.
Will not slumber.
Will not slumber.
Behold.
Behold.
He that keepeth Israel.
He that keepeth Israel.
Shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day.
The sun shall not smite thee by day.
Nor the moon by night.
Nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee.
Yahweh shall preserve thee
from all evil.
from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out.
And thy coming in.
And thy coming in.
From this time forth.
From this time forth.
And even forevermore.
And even forevermore.
So be it.
So be it. We're going to say Psalms 83. Alahaya. Adamai Laka. Atakara. Atashikwat. Yahanna. Yahanna. Yahanna Yawan. Woman of Shnayaka. Nasha'awa. Ra'ash. Al-Imaka. Yahweh Yamwa. Sawab. Where you think ITHES are? Watasa Pawanyaka. Amawa. Lakawa. Wanakakina. Magaya. Wala'ah. Yatzakar. Shom Yasha'ala. Iwa. Kaya. Now ITHES are. La. Yakabu. Al-Kaya. Al-Yaka. Baya. Yakarathma. Ahaya. Adawam. Where you Shema Alia. Mawa Abba. Hagaya. Gabal. Raimawan. Raimalak. Palashaf. I'm Yeshabia. Tazawal. Gam Ashawal. Nalawa. Imam. Hayawa. Zawawa. Labaya Lawat. Salah. Aishalaham. Kamanya. Kasar Sara'ah. Kayabi. Banako. Kiyashwan. Nashamawa. Bayanda Ira. Hayawa. Dama. La Adama. Shayatamba. Nadiyamawa. Kaira. Because of Abba. Because of Bak. Because of Zamana. Kanasaya Kamu. Ashar. Amar. Naya Rashad. Lanawa. Nawa. Alahaya. Alahaya. Shayatama. Kagabala. Kakwash. Upon your require. Ka'ash. Taba'abi Yaira. Bakala Haba. Talahat. Haryam. Khan. The Adatma. Bas Irika. Bas Wapaka. Tabahalam. Mala'ah. Panyaham. Kwalawan. Where you Bakwashi. Shamka. Yahweh. Yabashwa. Where you Ba'ali. Adi. Where you Kapara. Where you Abadwa. Where you the Iowa. Kaya. Ata. Shamka. Yahweh. Labadka. Al-Yawan. Al-Karataza. Tawada Amah.
Niggas, keep not that silence or your house.
Keep not that silence or your house.
Hold not that peace.
Hold not that peace.
And be not still.
And be not still.
Oh, your house.
Oh, your house.
Below. Thy enemies make a tumble.
Thy enemies make a tumble.
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate thee.
Have lifted up the head.
Have lifted up the
They
head.
have taken crafty counsel.
Taking crafty counsel
Against thy people.
Against thy people.
and consulted against thy hidden ones.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
Come,
let us cut them off.
Let us cut them off.
From being a nation.
From being a nation.
That the name of Israel.
That the name of Israel.
Maybe no more remembrance.
Maybe no more remembrance.
For they have consulted together.
But they consulted together.
With one consent.
With one consent.
They're confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Moab.
Hagarim.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The
Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asher is also joined with them.
Asher is also joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah. Do unto them.
Do unto them.
As unto the Midianites.
As unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to
Jabin.
Jabin.
At
the brook of Kishon.
Which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like a red.
Make their nobles like a red.
And like the
Like the
Yea.
Yea.
All their princes.
All their princes.
As the
As Sabbath.
As Amunah.
And as Amunah.
Who said,
Let
us take to ourselves.
Let us take to ourselves.
The house of Yahweh in possession.
House of Yahweh in possession.
Oh my power.
Oh my power.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As a stubble before the wind.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the fire burning the wood.
As the fire burneth the wood.
And as the flames set the mountains on fire.
And as the flames set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them.
So persecute them.
With thy tempest.
And make them afraid. With thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name. Oh Yahweh.
Let them be confounded. In trouble forever.
Yea.
Let it be put to shame. And perish. That men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. So be it. Psalm, which means to turn. Yeshavian, which means to be seated.
All right. Come in up here, Yeshavian, which means to be seated. We're going to continue on where we left off last week. We're going to get first in Hebrew, the book of Esther, chapter 5, 9 through 14, and then finish off with 6 and 1.
The reason.
If you could, Mataya, can you get me the first two?
Go.
And then Shapak, can you finish it off?
Color close.
My screen unlocked. All right,
5 and 9.
5 and 9. Come on. There it is now. All right. This is the book of Esther, chapter 5, verse 9. Waha taza, waya taza, hamana, baya wam, hawa shamka, shamak, wata waba, wata wab, lab, waka kara, awata, awath, hamana, ath, maradak, Maradakia, Bashaira, Ha Malak, Wala'a, Kwam, Wala'a, Zai, Manawa, Waya Mala'a, Hamana, Salakia. Al, Maradak, Maradakia, Kamala,
Come on.
Kamala,
Come on.
Kama. Verse 10. Wa ya Salakia. Wa yata apakwa apak ha mana wa yaba wa wa'a al ba yatawa
But yeah.
bayathawa wa ya shalak wa ya ba'a ath haba yawa wa'ath zarash al shatawa.
The book of Esther, chapter 5, verse what we at? 11. Verse 11. Waya Sapar, Laham, Hamana, Ath, Kabayad, Kabawad, Salaki, Aisha, Asharwa, Warab, Bana, Banyawa, Wa'ath, Kal, Ashar, Gadalwa, Hamalak, Wa'ath, Ashar, Nasha'awa, Al, Hasharyam, Wa'abadya, Hamalak, verse 12. Waya Amara, Hamana, Ap, La'ah, Haba Ya'aha, Asatar, Hamalaka, Ain, Hamalak, Al, Hamashata, Ashar, Ashata, Kaya, Ama, Awathya, Wagam, Lamakar, Anya, Anaya, Quawa, Laha, Ain, Hamalak, verse 13. Wakal, Zahar, Ayananwa, Shawa, Laya, Bakal, Ith, Ashar, Anya, Ra'aha, Ath, Maradakya, Haya Hawada, Yawashab, Basha Ara, Hamalak, verse 14. What the Amar, Lawa, Lawya, Lawa, yeah, Lawa, Zarash, Ashathwa, Wakal, Ahaba Yawa, Wa'aisha, Shalaki, Ya'aishawa, Itaza, Gaba, Hamashim. Salaki. Kamashim. What? Amar. Bubba Kar. Amar. Lamalak. Wayas. Wayatha Lawa. Wayathawa. The what? Ath. Maradakia. Ayla wa. Waba. Waba Ain. Hamalak. Al. Hamashata. Shamak. Yaya Ta. Hadabar. Lapanya. Hamana. Waya Aish. Waya Aisha. Her itizah. Her itizah. Verse 1. The book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 1. Bala ya luck.
Bala yalla.
You're right, it's too late. Bala ya la. Hahawa I. Nadada. Shanath. Hamalak. Waya Amar. La Habaya. La Habaya Ath. Sapar. Hazar Karan Was. The Barya. Hayamyam. Haya wa. Waya Hayawa. The what? Nakwa Waya. Nakwa Ra Ayam.
Yeah.
Lapunya. Hamalak.
We're going to read what we just read in the English. Esther 5, 9 through 14, the 6 and 1.
Come. It's the book of Esther, chapter 5, verse 9. Then went Haman forth that day, joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Verse 10. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife.
So this Edomite was pissed off. He hated Mordecai, and so once he got home, he held his tongue, he held his peace there. Once he got home, he called for his friends to set up a plot. Right, keep going.
Come. Verse 11. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Verse 12. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself, and tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Verse 13. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate.
So he's saying he got all this praise and glory and honor, but he's still pissed off just because some nigga sitting at the gate. Keep going.
Come. Verse 14. Then said Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou and merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
I mean, how many times we hear today, even now in our music that we make, that they Edomites and other nations get jealous when they see young, rich black men and women.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And this is what he's talking about. So they made a plan to have a gallows be made huge, so that everybody can see it. And once he goes into the king, he asks the request of the king to have him hanged. Right? Keep going.
Come. It's the book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 1. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king.
All right, let's continue on in Esther 6, chapter 6, 2 through 8. You can get the first two, and then Shabbat take the rest.
Come.
That's what I make real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That was the Lord right there, because he trying to make a plan. The Lord had a plan in himself. He wouldn't let the king sleep. And, you know, he and then went into the records. You know what I mean?
We about to see what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
We about to see what's going to
Oh, yeah.
happen, right? Let's keep on going.
Come. This is the book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 2. Waya Mataza'ah Tawab Ashar Gayad Mara Dakya Al Baga Salaki Ba Gata Na'a Wa Darash Shanaya Shanya Sa Raya Saya Ha Malak Ma Shamaria Hasap Ashar Ba Kwashawa La Shalak Had Yad Salaki Ba Malak A Kashawa Sharayawa Salaki A Kasha Warash. Verse 3. Wa ya Marah Waya Amar Ha Malak Maha Na Aisha Yakwar Wa Gada Yala Wala La Maradakya Al Za Wa Sha'a Wa Ya Waya Ma'ar Slaki Wa Ya Ma'ar Waya Amara Na Ira Na Aria Ha Malak Ma Shara Dayawa La'a Na Aisha Aishaya
Aisha.
Na Aisha I'm Marwa
I'm a wa.
Imawa Dabara
The bar.
Dabar.
If you could, Shabbat, take it up.
So the book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 4. Waya Amar, Hamalak, Maya, Bakatazar, Wahamana, Ba'a, Lakatazar, Bayath, Hamalak, Hakayataza, Wana, La Amar, La Malak, Lathawath, Ath, Maradakia, Al, Ha'itaza, Ashar, Hakayan, Lawa, verse 5. Waya Marwa, Na'iraya, Hamalak, Ala Yawa,
Oh, you wa.
Al Yawa, Hana, Hamana, Ahmad, Bakatazar, Bakatazar. Am I saying that right?
Baka Tazar.
Come. Bakatazar. Why you Amar, Hamalak, your Bawa'ah, verse 6. Why you Bawa'ah, Hamana, why you Amar, Lawa, Hamalak, Maha, La'aishwa, La'aishwa, Ba'ayash, Amar,
Ashar.
oh yeah, Salaki, Ashar, Hamalak, Kapataza, Bayakwawa, Wayama, Hamana, Bala Bawa, Lamya, Kapata,
Yeah.
Salaki, Yaka Pataza, Hamalak, La'aishwath, Yaquar, Yawathar, Mamanya, verse 7. Wayamar, Hamana, La'a, Hamalak,
Ow.
Salaki, Hamalak, Ayash, Ayash, Ashar, Hamalak, Kapataza, Kapataza, Boyakwarwa, verse 8. Yaba Awa, Laba Wash, Malakwath, Ashar, Labash, Bawa, Hamalak, Wasa, Ashar, Salaki, Rakab, Al Yawa, Hamalak, Wa Ashar, Nathan, Kathar, Malakwath, Bara Ashwa.
Most high in Christ. We will continue this in English Esther 6, 2 through 8.
Come. This is the book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 2. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teshra, two of the Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. Verse 3. And the king said, what honor and dignity hath been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servant, that mistress unto him, Salakia, that minister unto him, there is none done for him. There is nothing done for him.
So what he's saying is he's reading the book from Book of Chronicles, what all happened, and he come upon assassination plot that Mordecai uncovered and told the king, and now he's asking what reward has this man been given, and he said nothing. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna fix that. Keep reading.
Come. Verse 4. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. Verse 5.
So this nigga already prepared the gallows. Okay.
Right.
All right. Keep going.
Verse 5. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. Verse 6. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor?
So he's saying, what I found honor in some man. What should I do to bring glory to this man? Right? And he's thinking it's him. All right. So keep going.
Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?
So this bastard always thinks these Edomites always think of themselves. They always think themselves high and mighty, right? Keep going.
Come. Verse 7. And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor. Verse 8. Let the royal apparel be brought, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head.
When he said crown royal, he's talking about the crown, the royal crown, not the bottle that comes in the purple bag. Right? let's continue on with in the Hebrew. We're gonna get you have something?
The one your uncle used to have.
Yeah, the one
right there.
Yeah, and keep the bag, put some change or a little something extra in it. Yeah, put the ooey in there. We don't know nothing about that. We just speculate. Let's keep on reading in the Hebrew. It's Esther chapter 6, 9 through 14, and then finish off with 7 and 1. If you could get the first two, Baba Kishon.
Come. This is the book of Esther, chapter 2, verse Salaki. This is the book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 9. Wana the wana. Hala ha lab bawash. Wa hasa wasa. Al. Wad. Yad. Keep saying Yad. Ashar. Salaki. Awash. Ayash. Ma Sharaya. Masharia. Ha Malak. Ha Pavra Thama. Ha Pavra Thama Wayam. Salak. Yum. Salaki, I'll say that again. Ha Pavra Thum Yum. Wa hala bawa baya shawa bayashwa. Ha Ha Ayash, Ashar, Ha Malak.
So like real quick, whenever you see Hamalak, that's the king. Malak is king.
Come on. Kapataz.
Kapataza.
Ya Karash
Bayakurawa.
Barak Yawa
Or Bayakwarwa.
Bayakarwa Wahara Kaya Baya
It's like Waha, Raka, Ya Bahawa.
Waya Raka Habaya
Ya Bahawa.
Ya Bahawa Al Ha Sawa
Sawasa.
Ha Sawasa Raka Wab Rakawab Ha Yar Quara Aya Awa La Pana Yawa Yapanyawa Kaya Kaha
Just Kaka.
Kaka Aisha La Ayash Ashar Ha Malak Kapataz Salaki Kapataza Baya Koraya Kara
I think you're reading the same line.
Nah, it's Bayakwarwa.
Baya Kwara.
Mhm.
Verse 10.
Oh, I see. It's locked.
Waya Amar Ha Malak La Ha Mana Ma Hara Mahar Kwa Af Ha Laba Wash Wa Atha Wa'af Ha Sawasa Kashar Ka'ashar Dabarath Wa Aishaya Aisha Kun La Maradakia Ha Yahan Ha
Yahawadaya.
Yahawadaya Ha Yawa Shaba Hawa Yashab Basha'ar Ayar Ira Basha'ira Ha Malak Al Pala Bara the bar Malak Ashar the Barth the Barath.
Close it out. Sean. Shabbat.
Oh, Salah.
11.
The book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 11. Waya Kwak, Hamana, Halab Wash, Wa'ath, Hasawasa, Hasawasa, great. Why you Labash, Ath, Maradakia, why you Raka, Yabahawa, Baraka Yab, Ha'ayar, why you Quara, Lapun Yawa, Kaka, Ya Aisha, La'ayash, Ashar, Hamalak, Kapatasa, Salaki, Baya Quara, verse 12, Waya Shab, Maradakia, Al, Sha'ira, Hamalak, Wahamana, not a cob, not a cob, Al, but Yasba, a bull, Wakapawa, Wakapawa, Ya, Wakapaya, Ra'ash, verse 13, Waya Sapar, Hamana, Lazarash, Ashathwa, wa Lakal, Ahabayawa, Ath, Kal, Ashar, Quara Hawa, Waya Amara, Lawa, Kakama Yawa, was Zarash, Ashathwa, Mazarai, Haya Howard Yum, Maradakia, Ashar, Hakawas, La Nepal, La Panyawa, La Thawaka, Lawa, Kaya, Nepawal, the Pawal, La Panyawa, verse 14. I would Madabarium, Amawa, what's a raya, what's Saria, was Yasara, Saria, Salah, Hamalak, Haga ya Iowa, Waya ba Halawa, Lahabya, Ath, Hamanah, Al, Hamashatha, Ashar, Ashatha, Aishatha, wow. Asathar. I think that's it.
And
14. Oh, one.
Mhm.
Book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 1. Waya Ba'a, Hamalak, Wahamana, Lashathwath, Ain, Isathar, Hamalaka.
You want to read that in English? Esther 6, 9 through 14, and then 7 and 1.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 9. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal whom the king delighted to honor, and bring him on horseback through the streets of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor. Verse 10. Then the king said unto Haman, make haste and take the apparel of the horse as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew.
So he said everything that you said that you want the king to be the king was delighted in doing. Now you go and do it to Mordecai. He didn't know that he hated Mordecai. He was like, what? His eyes probably bugged out his head. You know what I'm saying?
Face turned red.
Yeah, exactly. Turned into a firecracker.
Sorry, my man. This nigga here?
Yeah. Now he had to go and do everything that he said that he thought was going to be done to himself, and he had to do it to someone he hated. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Khan. That sitteth.
Let's give a hand to the sisters. Once again, always coming on time. Let's keep going.
Khan. Verse 10, at the end of verse 10. That sitteth at the king's gate, let not fail of all that thou hast spoken. Verse 11. Then took Haman the apparel of and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth and honored. Verse 12. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning, and having his head covered. Verse 13. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wife, then said his wise men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shall surely fall before him. Verse 14. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hasted to bring Haman onto the banquet that Esther had prepared. This is the book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 1. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther, the queen.
Most High in Christ. So what happened was he didn't even get a chance to really comprehend what in the world is going on, right? So we're going to keep on reading. I'm going to get Esther 7, 2 through 8. Waya Amar, Hamalak, La'ah, Sathar, Gam, Bayawam, Hashanya, Bashatha, Yayun, Maha, Sha'a, Lathak, Asathar, Hamalaka, Watha, Nathan, Laka, Wama, Ba Quasha, Ba Quashatha, I, Katazaya, Hamalakwa, what the Aisha, verse 3. What the Aina, Isathar, Hamalaka, what the Amar, Amma, Mataza, Athia, Hana, Ba'ai, Yana Yak, Hamalak, Wa'am, Al, Hamalak, Tawab, Thanathan, Laya, Napashia, Basha, Thea, I'm ya, Baba, Bakwash, Thea, verse 4, Kaya, Nama, Makar, Ranawa, Anaya, I'm ya, Laha, La, Hashamyad, Laha, Rawad, Wa, La, but Wa, La, Abad, Wa, Wa, La, Ibadyam, Wala, Shapakwa, Mana, Korwan, it's like a Mana, Koranwa, Hakarash, Thaya, Kaya, Ayan, Hatazar, Shawa, Banazak, Hamalak, verse 5, Wayamar, Hamalak, Akasha, Rawash, Slaka, Akasha, Rawa, Washa, Wayamar, La'a, Sathar, Hamlaka, Maya, Hawa'a, Zaha, wa Aya, Zaha, Hawa'a, Ashar, Mala'awa, Labawa, La'ai, Shawath, Khan. Verse 6, what the Amar, Asathar, Ayash, Tazar, Wa'a, Wayab, Hamana, Hara'ai, Hazah, Wahamana, Na Ba'aith, Na Ba'aitha, Malapanya, Hamalak, Waha, Malaka, verse 7. Verse 7. Wahamalak, Quam, Bakar, Mathawa, Mama Shatha, Yahai, Ha, Yana, Al, Ganath, but it's like it. Haba Yathan, Wahamana, Imad, Labakwash, Al, Na Peshawa, Ma'a Sathar, Hamalaka, Kaya, Ra'a, Kaya, Kalatha, Al Yawa, Ra'ai, Ma'ath, Hamalak. Verse 8, Wahamalak, Shab, Maganath, but by Bayathan, Al, Bayath, Mashatha, Ha Yayan, Wahamana, Nepal, Al, Hamata, Ashar, Asaph, Slakya, Asathar, Aliyah, Ya, Slakya, Wayamar, Hamalak, Hagum, La Kabawash, Ath, Hamalakah, Amya, Babayat, Hadabar, Yataza'a, Mapaya, Hamalak, Wapanya, Hamana, Kapawa. We'll continue on in English. We're gonna read. You have some?
So my man.
Uh-huh.
Funny how Esau does thing. He made a movie called The Mummy, right?
Uh-huh.
And the place where the mummy was buried was called Hamanatra, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was called Hamanatra. And that was the place where a mummy who defied the king was buried.
How about that? How about that? I did not know that. You mean to tell me they don't read this and understand what in the hell this is?
Right.
And put it in our face and we're so blinded that we don't even know that they're talking about, this is our story. You got something?
Sloppy. They make a tumult.
Yeah, they make exactly. Let's read this in English.
Come on. This is the book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 2. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. Verse 3. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
Read that again.
Verse 3. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
She said, first of all, the king said, if anything you request, let me know. I'll give it to you, even if it's half of my kingdom. I'll give it to you. And then she went on to say, if I find favor in your sight. Unfortunately, our sisters right now, I'm not talking about anybody in the UPK, sisters out there who don't know who they are. If they don't even come to you and say, hey, if I find favor, you know what I'm saying? They come belligerent and say, no, you need to do this, you need to have this, you need to have this, and I demand this, this, and this, X, Y, and Z, and demand something of a man. You know what I'm saying? They don't come humbly like this sister. Even though the king said, anything that you want, I'm going to give it to you, even if it's half my kingdom. And then her response was, if you find favor in me, then she goes on to her request. Did you have some?
Nah.
Okay, let's keep going.
Come. Verse 4. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue. All through the enemy could not countervail, and the king's damage. Verse 5. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so?
So now Haman is listening to this, and he's like looking like, oh shit, yeah, where's the exit? How can I get up out of here? He's listening to this. He's like, how in the hell? Why is she's a Jew? Like, God damn. He's doing one of them. He's puckering up. Let's keep going.
Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and the enemy is the wicked. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
His name was petrified.
Verse 7. And the king arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath went into the palace garden And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther, the queen.
All right, hold on one second. You had a mhm.
So for her to blend in with everybody, was it that they came, were they like Hamites or?
No, they were Persians, the Persians and the Medes. That's what these people are. But the his kingdom reigned over a vast, majority of land. So it had a whole bunch of different ethnicities within his kingdom. So it wasn't. It's like how we say here in America, if you're American, but you can be black, you can be Indian, you can be Asian, you could be all these other different ethnicities, but they all come under the guise of America, the banner of America. So that's how she kind of blended in. No sweat.
Come on. At the end of verse 7, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Verse 8.
This wasn't evil. This was righteous.
Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was.
So now this dude is desperate. He's begging to Queen Esther, like, hey, please help me, please help me. Even so, he got beside himself. He got to where the queen is, where her bed is. Like, are you serious? You want your head to be lopped off right here? Come on.
Come. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
Nah, he seems like, are you dead ass? You serious? This is what you doing in my house? Nah. Let's keep going.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
Oh, look at that. you know how in the movies where they say the CIA be getting people, they just put bags over their faces and take them somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened right here. They covered his. They just covered his eyes. They put something over his head and dragged his butt out, kicking and screaming.
Oh God, that's it, sir.
That's and Most High in Christ. I'm gonna keep on going. Esther. I'm going to read this in Hebrew, Esther 7, 9 through 10, and then 8, 1 through 5. Verse 9, Wayamar, Kara, Bawana, Akkad, Mana, Hasar, Yesayim, Lapanya, Hamalak, Gam, Hana, Ha'itaza, Ashar, Aisha, Hamana, Lamadakia, Ashar, Dabar, Tawab, Al, Hamalak, Imad, Babayath, Hamana, Gaba, Kashamyam, Amma, Waya Amar, Hamalak, Thalahawa, Al Yawa, verse 10, Waya Thalwa, Ath, Hamana, Al, Ha'itaza, Ashar, Ha Kayan, La Maradakia, Wa Hamath, Hamalak, Shakaka, verse 8. It's like it. Esther 8, verse 1. Bayawam, Hahawa'a, Nathan, Hamalak, Akasha, Wara Washa, La'a Sathar, Hamalaka, Ath, Bayath, Hamana, Taza Rara, Tazara, Haya, Ha, Yahweh Dayet, Ya, Yum, Wa, Moradakia, Ba'a, Lapanya, Hamalak, Kaya, Haga, Gayada, Asathar, Maha, Hawa'a, Laha. Verse 2, Wayasar, Hamalak, Ath, Ta, Ba'aithawa, Ashar, Ha'ai, Bayar, Maha, Mana, Wayathana, La Maradakia, Whatha Shum, Asathar, Ath, Maradakia, Al, Bayath, Hamana, verse 3. Whatha Wasap, Asathar, with Watha Dabar, Lapanya, Hamalak, Watha Pal, Lapanya, Ragalia Wa, Watha Bak, Watha Thakan Na, Lawa, Laha, Lahai, Slakin, Laha, I Bayar, Ath, Ra'itha, Hamana, Ha'a, Gagaya, Wa'ath, Ma, Kamashab, Slakia, Ma, Kasha, Bathwa, Ashar, Kashab, Al, Ha Yahai Wadayim. Verse 4. Waya Shata. It's like it. Waya was Shata. Hamalak La'a Sathar. Ath. Sharabat. Hazahab. Watha Quam. Asathar. Watha Imad. Lapanya, Hamalak, verse 5. Watha Amar, Am, Al, Hamalak, Tawab, Wa'am, Mataza, Athia, Khana, Lapanya Wa Kashar, Hadabar, Lapanya, Hamalak, Wa Tawaba, Anaya, Ba'ai Yanya Wa, Ya Kathab, Laha Shayab, Ath, Hasaparium, Ma Kashabath, Hamana, Ban, Hamadath, Ha'a, Gagaya, Ashar, Kathab, La, Abad, Ath, Ha Yahaya Slaka, Ha Yahawad Wadayum, Ashar, Bakal, Madayan Watha, Hamalak. We're going to continue on this in the English. It's Esther chapter 7, 9 through 10, and then 8, 1 through 5.
Come, this is the book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 9. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman.
So now everybody's coming out, and when you're down, you're down. Now everybody, hey, you know what? I saw a gallows. He built a big ass gallows in front of his house for Mordecai, for the same dude that saved your life. What you gonna do, King? What you gonna do? Keep going.
Come. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
It's like, yeah. Oh, he built it for him? Man, put his ass in there. That's very fitting. That's very fitting. You see how the way things go, how the Christians say, look at God? He made him parade his enemy in front of the whole kingdom when everybody else knew that he wanted to kill him. And then he used the very thing that he wanted to kill Mordecai with. He got killed himself with it.
Come.
That's a G right there. That's a G. Most High is gangster. You don't want to cross him. You got something?
Yeah, just in real life today, like they threw the drugs in the neighborhood, right? And then everybody just turned around. You had both sides of it were bad, but from it they got mad because they would see drug dealers, shining and trying to make something out of nothing. But today they're the ones mainly dying off the drugs.
Moreover, just to the point that you're making, Joe Biden had the war on drugs on us and introduced the those two major legislative things to put us away because of drugs and all that stuff, and then his son become a crackhead.
Right.
His son is a crackhead. How did Judge Joe Mathis say? You a crackhead. Crackhead. His son is a crackhead. I smell a crack. I know a crackhead when I see one. One of the just like this, one of the biggest proponents of trying to put us away for something that they did.
Right.
Now it came back on his son.
Right.
Now he's the president and his son's a crackhead.
Right.
Look at God. Let's keep going.
Come. Verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Sorry, I'm cool now. He got hanged in front of his own house, his own crib. Keep going, Slack.
Come. This is Book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 1. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews' enemy unto Esther the queen, and Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was onto her,
and he gave her his house. Come on, man. Let's keep going. Just like they did to us, they killed us and took our property. Mm-hmm. The Most High saw fit to have him killed and then give us his property. Let's keep going.
Come. Verse 2. And the king took off.
Slide it real quick. When Christ come back, there's going to be a lot of property up for grabs.
Ooh-wee.
Keep going.
Verse 2. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and give it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. Verse 3. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman, the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Verse 4. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king. Verse 5. And said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the king and the thing seemed right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hamadatha, the Agite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's providence.
Most High in Christ. I'm gonna keep on reading. This is Esther 8, 6 through 12. Kaya, I.S.U.P.K, Awakal, Wa Ra'ayathaya, Bara'ai, Ashar, Yama Taza'a, Ath, I'm Ya, Wa'a, Yakak, Wa'a, Yakaka, Awakal, Wara'a Yathaya, Ba'a, Badan, Mawa Ladathya. Verse 7. Waya Mar Hamalak, Akasha Aka Slaka, Akasha Aka Shawarsha. No, Salaka. Akasha Warash, La'a Sathar, Hamalaka, Wala Maradakya, Ha Yahawadaya, Hana Bayath, Hamana, Na Thathaya, La Asar, Slakya, La Asathar, Wa'athwa, Thalawa, Al, Ha'itaza, Al, Ashar, Shalak, Yadwa, Bayahawadai, Yayum. Verse 8. Wa Athum, Kathawa Slakia. Kathabawa. Al Ha Yahawadayim. Katawab. Ba'ai Yun Yakam. Basham Hamalak. Waka Wakathamwa. Ba to Ba'itha Hamalak Kaya. Thakab, Ashar, Na Kathab, Basham, Hamalak, Wa Nakath, Wam, Ba to Itha, Hamalak, Ayan, Laha Shayab, verse 9, Ya Koraawa, Saparya, Hamalak, Ba'itha, Hahaya'a, Bakadash, Hashalah, Yasha, Hawa'a, Kadash, Sayawan, Bashalah, Washa, Wa'ai Sharyam, Bawa, Waya Kathab, Kakal, Ashar, Tazawa, Maradakia, Al, Ha Yahawadayim, Wa'al, Ha Akadash Rapanyam, Waha Pakawath, Washarya, Ha Madah Yanwath, Ashar, Mahadwa, Wa'id, Kawash, Shaba'ai, Wa'ai Sharyam, Wama'a, Mad Yana, Madayana, Wa Madayana, Kaka Thaba, Wa'im, The Lashanwa, Wa'al, Ha Yahawadayim, Ka Thabum, Slakia, Ka Thabum, Waka Lasha wa nama. Verse 10. Waya Kathab. Basham Hamalak. Akash Rawash. Waya Katham. Ba to Ba'itha Hamalak. Waya Shalak. Saparium, Bayad, Haratazayim, Basa Wa Sayum, Rakabya, Harakash, Ha'a Kashathar Nayam, Banya, Haramakyam. Verse 11. Ashar, Nathan, Hamalak, Lahayadayam, Ashar, Bakal, Ayar, Wa Ayar, Laha, Kohal, Wala Imad, Al, Na Pasham, Laha, La Hasham Yad, Wala Ha Raga, Wala Abad, Ath, Kal, Khayal, Aim, Mad Yana, Ha Tazarium, a thumb, Tapat, Nashium, Shalama, La Bawaza, verse 12, Bayawam, Akkad, Bakal, Mayad, Slakia, Madam, Yanawath, Hamalak, Akasha, Rawa, Washa, Ba Shala Washa, Ishar, La Kadash, Shunyam, Ishar, Hawa'ah, Kadash, Adar. This one, we got one more set. That's it. Count on. Slack is there. Just cut it.
Yeah.
Count on. Before I close out, does anybody have any questions before I close out? And with that, mid up here, I say Amajin, which means stand. If you could.
Y'all Charlotte.
Amajim, which means to stand. Wapayah Hakwadam, which means turn to face the east. We'll say the Lord's Prayer, Abanau, Shabbat Shemayim, Kadash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahawah, Malakufka, Taba'ah, Ratazayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratazah, Kawah, Hayah, Bashemayim, the thunder now, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalak now, Kababwaf now, Kasalak now, Kababwafi now, Wala'ah, Taba'ayah now, Wanasayawam, Bo, Hawashai now, Mayam, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Watapar, Lawalumium, Amok.
In English, our Father.
Our Father.
Which art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth.
In earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day
our daily bread.
our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
Forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us.
But deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever. So be it. We're going to say Hakak, the power, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Baba Kashah, the thunder now, Hakak, La Pa'ah, Kal Maka'ah, Kal Madawa, Hakak, La Tahar, Hamatazariah, Hakak, La Hakim, Hamakim, Hakak, Akawa, Hatama Allah, the God Shun, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, the water Amon. Yahweh.
Your name Yahweh Shai.
Please
give us the power.
Please give us the power.
Power to heal.
Power to heal.
All manner of sickness.
All manner of sickness.
And all manner of disease.
And all manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the leper.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to raise the dead.
The power to raise the dead.
The power against unclean spirits.
The power against unclean spirits.
Cast them out.
Cast them out.
Your name Yahweh Shai.
Your name Yahweh Shai.
Thank you.
Thank you. So be it. We're going to say, bless Israel, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Barak now, Wayasha'ala, Wahabayah, Sapariah, Barak, Rapah, Magun, Hagun, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, the water Amah.
Yahweh.
Your name Yahweh Shai.
Bless us.
And
Israel.
And Israel.
And the school. Bless. Heal. Shield. Protect. Our loved ones.
Our loved ones.
Your name Yahweh Shai.
Your name Yahweh Shai.
Thank you.
Thank you. So be it. We're going to say Psalms 121. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Ahahaya, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Isaiah, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'aratazah, Ayatan, Lamawat, Regalka, Ayanawam, Shemaka, Hana, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashan, Shawamah, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shemaka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyaka, Yawamam, Ashamash, La'ah, Yakalka, Wayarak, Alayala, Yahweh, Yashamaka, Makal Ra, Yashima, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashima, Tazaaka, Wabba Athna, Maita, Light Abulam, Tawada Amon.
I will lift up my eyes to the hills.
I will lift up my eyes to the hill.
From whence cometh my help?
Whence cometh my help?
My help coming from Yahweh.
My help coming from Yahweh.
Which made heaven and earth.
Which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee.
He that keepeth thee.
Will not slumber.
Will not slumber.
Behold.
Behold.
He that keepeth Israel.
He that keepeth Israel.
Shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee.
Yahweh shall preserve thee.
From all evil.
From all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out.
And thy coming in.
And thy coming in.
From this time forth.
From this time forth.
And even forevermore.
And even forevermore.
So be it.
So be it. We're going to say Psalms 83. Alahayim. Al-Damai Laka. Al-Takarash. Al-Tashakwat. Al. Yahanna. Al-Yabyaka. Yahama Yawan. Woman of Shanayaka. Nasha'awa. Ra'ash. Al-Aimaka. Yahweh Yamwa. Sawad. Wayataya Aitazawa. Al-Tazapawanyaka. Amal. Lakawa. Wanakakidam. Magalia. Wala'ah. Yazakar. Sham Yasha'ah. Iwad. Kaya. Nawa Aitazawa. La. Yakadwa. Al Yakad. Bar Yaf. Yakarathwa. Ahawya. Adawam. Wayashama Alya. Mawa Abba. Wahagari. Gabal. Wa'aimawan. Wa'aimalak. Palashah. I'm Yeshabia. Tazawal. Gam Ashawal. Nalawa. Imam. Hayawa. Zawawa. Labaya Lawat. Salah. Aishalaham. Kamadi. Kasarasa. Kayabi. Banako. Kayashwa. Nashamadwa. Hayanda Ira. Hayawa. Daman. La Adama. Shayatamba. Nadiyamu. Kaira. Because of Abba. Because of Bak. Because of Zalmanai. Kanasaya Kamba. Ashar. Amara. Naya Rashad. Lanawa. Ah. Na'awa. Alahayim. Alahaya. Shayatamba. Kagagala. Kakwash. Rapaya Rakwa. Ka'ash. Tabaira Yaira. Kala Haba. Talahat. Hayam. Kam. Taladatma. Basa Irika. Basa Wapaka. Tabahalam. Mala'ah. Payaham. Kualawam. Wayabakwashra. Shamka. Yahweh. Yabashra. Wayaba'alya. Ayai. Wayakapara. Wayabadwa. Wayadaiwa. Kaya. Ata. Shamka. Yahweh. Labaka. Al-Yawam. Al-Ka'arathazal. Tuwada Amon.
In English, keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still.
And be not still.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo.
For lo.
Thy enemies make a tumult.
Thy enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate thee.
Have lifted up the head.
Have lifted up the
They
head.
have taken crafty counsel.
They have taken crafty counsel
Against thy people.
against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said.
They have said,
Come. Let us cut them off.
Let us cut them off.
From being a nation.
Being a nation.
In the name of Israel.
The name of Israel.
Maybe no more remembrance.
Maybe no more remembrance.
They have consulted together.
They have consulted together.
With one consent.
With one consent.
They have confederate against thee.
They have confederate against
The
thee.
tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Moab.
Of Moab.
The
The Hagarenes.
Baal and Ammon.
The Baal and Ammon.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The Philistines.
The Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asher is also joined with them.
Asher is also joined with
They
them.
have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them.
Do unto them.
As unto the Midianites.
As unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
At the brook of Kishon.
At the brook of Kishon.
Which perished at Endor.
Which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like a red.
Make the nobles like a red.
And like Zaeb.
And like Zaeb.
Yea.
Yea.
All their princes.
All their princes.
As Abab.
As Abab.
And as Amunah.
And as Amunah.
Who
Who said,
let us take to ourselves.
let us take to ourselves
The house of Yahweh in possession.
the house of Yahweh in possession.
Hold my power.
Hold my power.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As a stubble before the wind.
As a stubble before the wind.
As a fire burneth the wood.
As the fire burneth the wood.
And as the flame set the mouths on fire.
And as the flame set his mouth on fire.
So persecute them.
So persecute them
with thy tempest.
with thy tempest.
And make them afraid. afraid.
And make them afraid
With thy storm.
with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded.
Let them be confounded.
In trouble forever.
In trouble forever.
Yea.
Yea.
Let them be put to shame.
Let them be put to shame.
And perish.
And perish.
That men may know.
That men may know.
That thou. Whose name alone.
Is Yahweh. Are the Most High. Over all the earth. So be it. We're going to say the blessing. Barakatah Yahweh. Why Yahweh Shai. Why Mayaka Allah. Why Alahayim. Mataza Bayah. Alawap Yahanna. Ha Alawapim. Ha Saranyam. Ha Quatas Yanyam. Ha Kayoyam. Waha Akwatian. Yahweh. Bashim. Yahweh Shai. Tawada Amon.
Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael. And the angels.
And the angels.
Commander General Yahanna.
Commander General Yahanna.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
We'll say the curses. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
Punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against us.
That speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teachers.
The teachers.
The priests.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers.
The Israelite brothers.
And the school.
At the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose.
And shake loose.
The treasures of the rich of Israel.
The treasures of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to get to the school.
That refuse to get to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter to thy sanctuary.
To enter thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And the nations.
And the nations.
And the drug dealers.
And the drug dealers.
The court system.
The court system.
The prison system.
The prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic Church.
The Pope.
Islam.
Christianity.
Egyptology.
Militia. Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan.
Aryan Nation.
Skinheads. Posse Comitatus.
Gay movement. The lesbian movement. Spies. Workers of witchcraft. NASA space program. Army. Navy. Air Force. Marines. Wall Street. Open up the internet. And the airwaves. Cable access channel. And the radio channel. Convict the spirit. Of any of thy people. That seek to stop us. And bring swift destruction. To all the heathen. And stand in the way.
Or
try and stop us. From broadcasting your word.
Throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues.
Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go. To and fro. Through the earth. And consume them. Let the plague. Shake the house of the thief.
And the murderer.
Let Yahanna Shai.
Michael and Gabriel. Come down with the flying saucer. And punish all the heathen. That come up against us. As we speak thy word. Cause it to be known. By all. That is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread. Through the media. Throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake that coming. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you always. So be it.
So, which means to turn. Sisters, you may be seated. Men of Israel, gird thy loins and prepare to salute the Torah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakiyah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakiyah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakiyah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakiyah.
Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat, Imagine Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakiyah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakiyah.
Yad Matah, Saw, which means a turn. Sisters, you may stand. Imagine. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel. Imagine Shabbat, Imagine Barak, Yahweh Shema, Latah, Shem Yahshua. Yad Matah, class dismissed.